I got scammed while I was looking for an apartment on Immowelt, and in this video I want to show you exactly how I got scammed so that you will not do the same mistake that I did. So for context, to tell you, I was looking to move in the same town where I live. I wanted to move to a bigger apartment, and I was looking for this apartment for around 4 months. And to know, in Germany, it's really difficult to find a new apartment because there are not many free flats available. There are not many buildings that are currently built. So the whole situation is very challenging, not only for expats with the language barrier, but also for German natives in total. So it's a very difficult market, and often you need sort of personal context. So you need to know people in order to find a really good flat. I would even say that the really good offers are not even on the market. It's like you know someone and this person knows someone, and that's how you get usually the best apartments. Yeah, so I would say at the beginning I was very motivated and happy to look for this new apartment, but after certain weeks and then when months started, like it took months in the end, I was a bit concerned, and I was thinking, will I ever find an apartment? There were so many applicants, and sometimes you went to flat visits and there were like, I don't know, 10 people at the same time who visited the apartment, and it was, yeah, a quite challenging situation, and challenging moments. I felt like a job applicant in the end, and all the information you had to tell about yourself. What you need to know in Germany is usually that you need to provide the potential landlord or the agency who is showing the apartment to you. You need to give them certain documents. So usually what you need to show them is first a sort of document about yourself, who you are. In German, this is called the Selbstauskunft. So that is a paper. Either you already have it on ImmoScout or Immowelt, I think. So it's a sort of template, or the landlord is giving you this template, or the agency. So it mentions your name. It mentions, for example, if you're married or not, if you have children, which job you have, how much salary you have, if you're smoking, if you have pets. So it's a sort of short presentation about yourself. The next thing that the landlord or the agency usually want to see, so either before the flat visit or during the flat visit, is also the last 3 salaries that you received. And then they also want to see often a Schufa-Auskunft. So Schufa is a company which is rating you based on what you are buying, or if you have credits, if you always paid for things, if you're reliable, and depending on that you receive a certain score so that the landlord can see in the future, will this person be very likely to also pay or not? Is there a risk maybe? And the last thing that the agencies or landlord wants to see often is the copy of your ID. So this is where also my scam is starting in the end. And how the scam started was I went on Immowelt and I was looking for the apartment every day regularly. And then I saw a very nice offer, which at a very good price. And I messaged the owner of the apartment, and then this owner was sending me an email. And in the next step, I really want to show you the emails that we received from this landlord, and also show you why there was certain warning signals that I didn't see in the end, because I was too happy to finally maybe find a flat. Yeah, and so that you really don't fall into this scam. Okay, so here I will show you the emails that I received so that you will be aware what a scam can consist of and how it really practically looks. So as you can see, the first message, I received it on the 8th of June at 3:22 p.m. Okay, so here now you will see the concrete emails that I received, and you will also see how they were written. And I will also give you some tips on how to see that it's really a scam, and what were the warning signals that in the situation I didn't see in the end. So first of all, what you see is that the first message that I received I received it on the 8th of June 2024 at 3:22 p.m. And I received a message in German. So don't worry, the next messages will be in English, but the first message that I actually received was in German, and it was written with a perfect German. Okay, that doesn't mean too much anymore in today's times with AI, but still. So I got a very polite message from a lady with the name of Julia. And Julia was telling me that she is owning the flat that I'm interested in. And the thing is, what you need to know is that it's a 3-room apartment with 76 square meters. And she was mentioning that with her husband, she decided on a monthly rent of 800 euros, including all the Nebenkosten, so all the side fees, so the warm water, for example, or electricity. And since I was looking for a flat in Bavaria, this already is a big warning signal, because in today's times, unfortunately, 800 euro for a 3-room apartment is just way too low. So that's not a realistic price anymore, at least in the area where I searched. This can, of course, depend on different cities in Germany. But where I looked, this was just too often an attractive offer so that it's realistic. It's not at all realistic. Okay. Then she also said that she is demanding a caution, which is 2 months of rent, 1,600 euro. So this overall was not a huge warning signal. It's normal in Germany to have a caution. And then the thing is, where you can think this is a bit strange, is that she really mentioned a lot about themselves to gain trust. So first of all, okay, it's a woman who is writing me, it's not a man. A woman can be more trustable overall. And then she also gives too many details about herself and about her couple to say like, yeah, we have been working in research. We bought it while we were doing research in Germany. But then we moved because of work to the UK, and that's why we don't need it anymore. And that's why we thought about renting it to people who have a responsible mindset, who will take care of it as if it's their own. So the thing is that in Germany, usually when you have landlords, I mean, that depends on the personality, but most of all, the German people don't go too much into detail, and they're not telling too much about themselves, about their private person, especially when it's an email. I would say it's a different thing if you really meet your landlord in person, but to receive all of this information in an email already is strange. Then she continued and mentioned some questions to know that about me, so about how long do you want to rent this apartment, which is already a strange question in Germany, because usually you don't mention that at all. It's not no one's business of how long you think you will live there, except if you sign a rental contract with a fixed end date. This is quite a rare case, but it does exist, so where you know from the beginning that you need to move out at some point. But usually that's nothing that your landlord can or should ask you normally. Okay, then to ask how many people will live there, that's kind of normal. And then to give you some details about your person. So if you have pets, if you have a work, this is normal, because that's also what you usually give as information in the Selbstauskunft. So this was nothing where I thought it's strange. And then she was writing, do you speak English? It would be easier for me. So the email was written in a very polite manner. And then I said, okay, yes, I do speak English. So I was so excited. And I was not realizing already that it's a scam offer. But now, especially when I see the amount of the rent, it's just, this is unfortunately not a reasonable price anymore. And so as you see, the next email, so I had responded in the meantime, and the next message that I received was on the next day, the 9th of June, so at around 12:56. So then she was answering that, yeah, thank you for your response. It all seems fine. And then also to give some information about the environment of this rental flat, to say that it's a good neighborhood with nice people. and that they don't need that anymore. And they also have their 2 children who are now in school in London. And so they will only come back to Germany. So that really gave us the information that it's a reasonable couple, a nice family with 2 children. And they are academic and all of this to gain our trust. And then it gets interesting because she mentioned that since they don't have that much of time because they're busy researchers to deal with renting this property and with the visits of the tenants, she has decided with her husband to hire an international real estate agency that will manage the entire rental process of the property. And the thing is that, yes, you can have an agency that is taking care of your flat and of how to find the next tenant and handle all of this. But the thing, what is already strange here, is that on the one hand, now it's her writing me, but then afterwards she's mentioning this agency. And the thing is, usually when someone is busy or it's not the landlord taking care of himself and he has an agency, then usually the agency is handling it from the beginning. So for example, if you look for a flat on ImmoScout or Immowelt and then you see on the site who has published this annonce in the end, this offer, then it is the agency usually when it's not him taking care from the beginning. But here what is strange is really that she's kind of now sending a lot of messages, so she has time for this, but then mentioning the agency. So this is also another red flag. And then also mentioned to say, I have signed an exclusivity contract with them, which is like, that doesn't matter. Like usually you don't get that information. You just know, okay, it's an agency handling it for the landlord, So yeah, that is too much of information in the end. And then the commission of the agency is entirely, no. And then also to say the keys of the property and the custody of the agency at their headquarters in London, which is also not really making sense when I think about it, because why should be the keys now in London? And it's about a visit in Bavaria. That doesn't make sense. But I was too enthusiastic about this offer that I also didn't see this. And what is also very strange is now the next sentence where she says it, and she was even putting a line below it to say, the commission of the agency is entirely paid by us. You will not be charged with any additional tax. And that's a really strange thing to say in Germany, especially because that's completely normal. When you visit a flat and you look for a flat, you will not pay the agency. And that's even a law in Germany that whoever has the agency, so if it's the landlord who wants to find a tenant, it's him fully paying the agency. You will not need to pay the agency, okay? That would be only in the case if you by yourself, you don't manage to find a flat and you decide to hire an agency, but you never should pay the agency fees. If you're a simple tenant and you do flat visits and you might get the apartment, you don't pay the fees, okay? So this is strange that she is mentioning it, that you will not be charged, and also even putting that in bold. And then she mentioned, and this is now the thing that unfortunately I did, and until today I'm not happy about this, but she wants a copy of the ID or passport of the potential tenants with a PDF or photo. And then once she got this, then the agency will contact you with information about when to visit the apartment and with more information about the flat. And then also saying, I'm sorry, I'm sometimes a bit late to respond with work children, so that you really think it's a real person writing you. And the bad thing is that I fell into the trap and I sent my own ID. So the thing is that since, I had other landlords who wanted to see the ID, I was not too suspicious, but what I had always done, because I thought it's still a lot of personal information that you give to these people. Usually what I did was I put a watermark on my ID. So I didn't send like a normal picture of my ID. I sent it with a watermark, but still the information is readable and you see the details when you were born, where you live and all this information. And so there is a chance or a possibility that these people then, steal your identity and they do things with that. So you need to be very, very careful, and you should not fall into the same scam that I fell into. But yeah, now it's too late, and now I want to raise awareness with this video so that, yeah, you don't do the same mistake that I did. So that leads me to the next message. So you see that this was at 12:56, and then the next day at 11:43. So I had replied in the meantime. Unfortunately, I had sent my my ID. And then I received this message that, yeah, thank you very much. And she had contacted the agent who will then take over. And it's also weird that she mentioned from a transaction in this contact, like it's a transaction of money. And then, okay, the agency will contact you with further details. And then also, please check your spam in bold here, which is also an underlined, which is also strange because when you think about it, why should the message of this agency be directly in spam, in your spam folder? That is also another warning signal. And then, of course, keep me updated. Yeah, for sure, you know. And then approximately 6 hours later on the same day, I received the final email where then even I understood that it's a scam overall. So unfortunately, I received an email from a lady, and her name is Nicole, and she's a real estate agent with an international activity for the Legacy Real Estate Company. And then I checked, what is this company? Of course, it doesn't exist. And I have been selected by the owner for this property. And then the thing is, what she sent me, this woman, she was sending me a link with flat visits on their website, and then now when you go on the link, it doesn't exist anymore. This website, you cannot access it anymore. And so what happened, once I clicked on this link, I saw names of people written in a sort of Excel file to say, like, yeah, on this day and this day and this day at these times, they will visit the apartment. So it was to kind of make me think, yeah, there are more people who are interested in this flat, and I'm a concurrent out of these among these people in the end, after it really became obvious that it's a scam, because now what she did is she mentioned about the apartment visits in the end. So she mentioned there are two options available. So the first would be to take part in an open viewing on the 24th of June. And then she also mentioned explicitly to put pressure on me to say, yeah, you are the fifth potential tenant on the waiting list, so I'm not among the first, which is lowering my chances of really get the apartment. And then to say, yeah, the viewing will be approximately 1 hour, which is quite long to see an apartment and to talk to the agency. And then also to say, yeah, viewings can be established the next day if the property is not rented, to put additional pressure that, if someone wants it before, like if a potential tenant before you will sign the rental contract, then all the other viewings will be cancelled. The rental is not an auction. The property will be rented for the listed price. So this is just super strange because, first of all, if it's a serious agency, they would not do it in the way that they say, okay, we have appointments for the same day and now we will cancel all the others. Like, this would be really strange. It would not be like, this is not a good way to deal with people. It can be that, for example, the landlord sees someone and then they have an immediate preference for them or the agency. But usually if they are serious people, then they would still allow the other people to come. And you should also not feel under pressure to immediately say yes at the place. I mean, it's true that the more fast afterwards you say yes, I would say, or the more you show your interest, the higher you have chances. But you should also not be pressured into this here. And to also say it's not an auction. What a strange way of writing this. And then the second option, so here it's really the obvious scam, is to get a private viewing appointment. So we can establish a private viewing appointment, and then in order if you want to have this nice private flat visit, you need to pay €2,400, which then means the first month of the rent and then the deposit of the 2 months of rent, which is just a scam. Now, you should never pay money to visit a flat, okay? Because it's also not at all sure that you will even get the apartment. And usually, I mean, this is clearly now a scam. And then they say, yeah, if you do that in your private viewing, then you have exclusivity you will be on top of the list and all of this. And then the others are put on hold, this is nonsense. And then they say the deposit is fully refundable, which I only can laugh about it, because then you think, oh, at least I will get the deposit back. It's nonsense. And then it would mean that you would still need to pay the first month of the rent. So you would still need to pay 800 euro at all. Of course, everything is just scam, scam, scam. Yeah. So, and then the escrow deposit will be released to the owner once the rental contract is, of course, this is all nonsense. And then the services are paid by the owner. We will not charge the potential tenant with any fee, but you are just charging them if you want to gain this exclusive visit. It's just a scam. Yeah. And then also afterwards they wanted me to send even more details. So the full name, the full address again, phone number, email, type of viewing, what I want. So it's a whole scam machine in the end. And unfortunately, I fell into this trap. So I sent my ID, but I mean, I didn't send the money. And I hope that people are not sending the 2,400 euro, because afterwards, this is a significant sum that you end up paying with. And yeah, you should never do that. You should not send to people that you don't know for a flat visit, that has not even taken place. And for a flat visit in general, you should never pay an amount of money in general. So yeah, that's what I want to say. So yeah, be careful, be vigilant when you look for flats. Unfortunately, scammers are using the situation, the vulnerability of people, their need to find a new flat. You get at some point exhausted and frustrated. And yeah, scammers are using these situations to steal your personal data or to even steal money. So yeah, that's what I wanted to share with you. And if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments or send me a message on my Instagram channel.